Now, tell me, have this ever happened to you where the car breaks down, a child gets sick, a family member at home need urgent help, or you suddenly lose your job? What do most people do in that situation? Hello, family. Welcome back to LNB Perfectly Imperfect. And if you're new here, this channel is about helping immigrant families to get rid of the debt in their life and live a financially free life without the trap of debt or the trap of the so-called American dream, which sometimes feels like a nightmare. Today, we will be talking about something simple but life-changing, which is an emergency fund. Now, tell me, have this ever happened to you where the car breaks down, a child gets sick, a family member at home need urgent help, or you suddenly lose your job? What do most people do in that situation? They reach for a credit card, they take out loan, and what was already a stressful situation got 10 times worse because now you're in debt. But here's the truth, it doesn't have to be that way. You can be prepared for these situations. You can have a peace of mind, and that is what we're going to break down in this video, the emergency fund. We're going to look into how to build an emergency fund step by step, even if you have a tight income, even if your budget is extremely tight. Stay with me until the end, for I will give you practical steps today, no matter your income. Part 1. What an emergency fund really is. So let's start with the basics. What is an emergency fund? Think of it as your financial safety net. It is money that you set aside for unexpected expense, unexpected problems. And let's just be clear, it's not for vacation. That's not an unexpected expense. It's not for buying a new iPhone. It's not for holidays. It's not even for regular bills. It's for those moments in life that catch you extremely off guard. Let me just tell you some examples of what an emergency fund really is for. It's for if you lose your job. It's for if the car that you rely on to get to work breaks down. It's for a medical bill that comes out of nowhere. It's for a child that needs something urgently for school. That is what it's for. And if you don't have money set aside for these things already, what are you going to do if something that is unexpected happens? You're going to take out a credit card or use a credit card over the limits. You are going to use what you don't have. You're going to take out a loan. You're going to borrow from family or friends. And then that is just going to let you stress. And it might even take months or years for you to pay off that debt. So is it worth it? Is it worth it not having an emergency fund? When you have an emergency fund, it changes everything. You can handle certain stuff without the stress of the financial aspect of it. You can make decisions calmly and not out of desperation. And let's get this straight. An emergency fund is not money that you hope you'll never use. It's money that you will use because life always happens. Something always happen in life that you most likely will need that money for. Yes, you won't hope that something happened to you. However, let's be prepared when something eventually happens because, as I said, life does happen. Part 2, how much should you save? Now you might be asking, how much you should save. Like, what is that monetary amount that should be an emergency fund? And the truth is that might not be, or most likely won't be, the same for everyone. It won't. This part might feel overwhelming, but honestly, it doesn't need to be that overwhelming. It is honestly pretty simple. So here's the plan. One, the first thing is that you're going to start your emergency fund. That's just it. Step one is that you're going to start saving towards your emergency fund. That is step one. The first goal is not going to be a lot. The first goal will be $500 to $1,000. And according to Dave Ramsey and his teaching of the baby step, $1,000 would be an okay starter emergency fund as baby step one. And why would that be so? Because that's just it, $1,000. But why would $1,000 be an okay starter emergency fund? It's because most emergencies that comes up is within that range. Is it within that $500 to $1,000 range? Preferably $1,000. A car emergency, a doctor's bill, or even an emergency flight because of a situation, an emergency that a family is going through that you need to be there, that $1,000 generally covers that. And if you have at least $1,000 saved, you don't have to take out a credit card to cover these expenses. You don't have to borrow from family to cover these expenses. And hopefully you don't have to take out a loan to cover that expense. That would be under $1,000. And then step two is to get a full-fledged emergency fund. So step one was to have a starter emergency fund, and that is typically $500 to $1,000, but preferably $1,000. And step two is that you are going to fully flesh out your emergency fund. And what does that mean? It is that once you're out of debt, so after you save that $1,000 starter emergency fund, you will be working on your debt. Once you're out of debt, you need 3 to 6 months of emergency fund. People do longer, so if you are extreme, you might be that person who wants to be prepared for everything. You might do a 1-year emergency fund, but that is not necessary, and that additional 6 months could go towards investing. But it is all on you. What do you want to do? You have 3 months, 6 months, not really, but a year. And this means that if your family total expenses for the month is $2,000, you will need $6,000, which is 246 for a 3-month emergency fund, or you'll need $12,000, which is $2,000 per month saved, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, $12,000 for your emergency fund, depending on which emergency fund you're building, 3 or 6 months. This covers job loss, illness, and sometimes other crises. Now, don't let that bigger number scare you, because with bigger families, it might feel like it's far-fetched. It might feel like you won't be able to meet that goal. Saving thousands of dollars might feel impossible, but just remember that it's not something that you will be doing overnight. It's going to take time. It is a journey that you start with small, consistent steps. And here's a tip. Don't focus on what you don't have today, but focus on what you can do today. And that might be a $20 bill every week. It might be just $20. If that's what you can do today, start with that. That $20 is better than $0. Every little bit counts. As we would say, every mickle make a muckle. Part 3. The next step is just where you're going to keep your emergency fund. So you already started saving. You're currently putting money towards your emergency fund on a monthly basis. So where should you be keeping that money? And the key to this is that you're going to keep that money safe and accessible, but accessible enough to where if you need it, you can get it to use, but not too accessible where you use it for non-emergency stuff. Here's a list of places that you can keep that emergency fund, or that you should keep that emergency fund rather. One is a regular savings account, but it should be separate from your regular savings. So it is a savings account separate from a savings account that you had before. Keep it separate. Your emergency fund saving is different from anything else you are saving for. Your general savings account. And with that emergency fund saving, you'd get a bonus point to say it does not have a debit card attached to it, because that makes it not that accessible. You can just take out that credit card at the store and be like, oh, I'm just going to put it on my emergency fund from my emergency fund savings because I don't have the money in my other card right now, and then you never put it back. It's not for that. It is not. So if you get a separate savings account, you can get that account without a debit card. Don't get a debit card attached to that account. The second one is a high yield savings account. That is preferably the one that you should get. And this is because you're going to have that money work a little bit for you. It's not going to be a lot. High yield savings accounts are also generally online. So you have to look into the high yield savings account that you're going into. However, that high yield savings account generally makes higher interest than what you're going to, as in payment to you, than what you're going to make at a bank. Currently, most high yield savings account, good ones, are going from 3 to maybe 4.5%. So they have different things that you need to actually go into that account, or to actually stay in that account, or to actually make the interest that you want from that account. And then you have some people that want the physical cash at home. Not what I would recommend. So be careful with this. Only keep a small portion in cash if that is what you personally prefer. That is not what I would recommend. But if that's what you prefer, only keep a small portion in cash and still keep the rest in the bank. I would not recommend this one because one, it's not safe. Being under your mattress, it's not safe. Two, it does not make you any interest. You don't gain money up from it. Three, it is too easy to access. It's right there. Like you can just go and take up that money. Someone come to the door to do something and you have to pay them. Maybe they're like, oh, I'll wash your car and whatever, and you have to pay them. But you don't have any cash. Where do you go for it? It's right there. You are going out. You don't have any cash. You don't have time to stop by the bank. Where are you going to take it from? under your mattress. It's right there. And you probably won't even be putting it back. So don't trouble it. I would not recommend having cash as your emergency fund. Let's list a few things that you should not do. Do not invest that money in stocks. Do not invest that money in crypto. Do not invest that money because investment is a whole nother ball game. You might not get that money back. Investments are stocks or crypto. All of those, it goes up and it comes down. When you need it, that money might not even be there. That money might not even be there when you need it. So it's not, oh, you can make more money on it right now or whatever. You don't know if you're going to actually make money on it. And the next one is not to mix it with your checking account. And this is simply just because you'll be tempted to spend it. It is right there. And sometimes you'll just mix it up. If you're not at a set amount as yet, you might not even know, like, if you're not keeping track of where you're at, you might not even know how much is for that emergency fund or how much is not. You might just be spending and eventually you have nothing in your account where there should have been an emergency fund. Do not keep it in your checking account. Think about it like this. Your emergency fund should be easy to grab in an emergency, but invisible the rest of the time. Part 4 is how to start saving. This is the part that most families will struggle with, and they're looking at how am I to save if I'm hardly making it right now, if I barely make enough as it is. And the good news about this is that you don't need to be rich to start. You just need to be intentional. Here's a few simple ways that you and your family can build your fund towards your emergency fund. One is to start small. Even $20 a week adds up. I've said that multiple times. $20 a week adds up. It adds up to over $1,000 within a year. It's better to start, build that momentum, and then eventually when you start making more, and when you pay off your debts, you'll have more to put towards your fully fleshed emergency fund. So this is not a short game. It is not a short game. It's just depending on where you're at in life. It might take one person 1 month to cover that emergency fund. It might take another person 1 year to cover that emergency fund. But do it within your timeline. Don't look at what that person is doing or what that person is doing. Look at your budget. 2 is to automate it. And this is that you're going to set up automated payments to a separate savings account that will build as your emergency fund. This automated payment might be from every time you get a pay. So if you get paid every 2 weeks, it will be transferred every 2 weeks. You can set it up where every time a certain amount hits your account, it transfers that money to that savings account. You, depending on your bank, can figure out how that will work for you, how you will automate that saving. The next step, which a lot of people may not like, a lot of people might be like, they don't have that, but it's to cut one expense. Just at least one expense. Cut one when you just start. Cut one expense. It might be Netflix, guys. It might be Netflix. It might be Tubi, or maybe another subscription that you're on. It might be one of those smaller ones. If you have multiple, I would not say not to cut more than one, but at least one. Cut one of your expenses, one that you can live without. Not because you don't want to live without it, one that you can actually live without. So not obviously not your water bill or your light bill or whatever, like obviously not any of those. You're going to look at your budget and see what you can cut. It can be eating out. It can be that subscription that I mentioned. It can be ordering clothes, maybe that online shopping. It can be anything, but cut at least one expense just starting out. And then when you cut that expense, you're going to redirect it straight to that emergency fund that you're saving for. So you might already have $20 to save, right, per week. And then you cut that one, and you might have an extra $5 a week. I don't know, maybe $25 a week that you'll be saving instead of $20. That makes a difference. It does. Step 4 is that you're going to use windfalls. So stuff such as your tax return, a bonus, or a gift, all of those, you can just take it, thank them, put it to your emergency fund. So you won't have it. You did not have it in the first place. If it's a gift, you did not have it. Tax refund, you did not have it. You should not be planning for your tax refund to pay bills. So that's another thing that you need to go into if you're at that stage. If you are planning for your tax refunds to pay bills. Step 5, use the cash envelope trick. Use cash, which might seem like going back, but if you're at the stage where you can't manage your stuff, use cash. Use cash envelopes for the gas, the grocery, your fund money. Use cash for those stuff. And then you'll see when you have no money, you have no money in there. You have no money in your grocery fund, you might need to put more budget if it's not eating out. If you're just buying groceries from the store, you might need to budget more properly for that, since that's food. You need food. But certain stuff, yeah, you can use that cash envelope so you can keep track of where you're at. And at the end of the month, you'll put the leftovers in your emergency fund. Not that you're not planning for emergency fund already. So you might have already had that emergency fund cash envelope that you put that money to in there to put in your savings account. However, what's left from the gas, from the grocery, from all those, what's left, you can take those and put it in your emergency fund. That's additional money towards that. So families, I want you to imagine this. The next time that an emergency comes up, and you don't have to stress about it. No stress. You don't have to panic about it. It's just an issue that's there, that's irritating maybe. Sometimes possibly sad that it happened, but you're not stressed financially. You are not stressed financially. You don't need to borrow. You take a deep breath, and then you go to your emergency fund, take that money, pay for whatever that needed to be paid for, stress-free. And that's the peace that we're looking for. That's the freedom that we want. An emergency fund isn't just money. It's security. It's dignity. It's the difference of living in stress and living with confidence. And Proverbs 21 verse 20 says that the wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down. God's wisdom reminds us that saving is not selfish, it's wise stewardship. So let me challenge you today. Put it down in the comment. What is your emergency fund goal? Is that $1,000? Are you already at $1,000? You need to pay off debt and then you start building your fully fleshed emergency fund? Which stage are you at in your emergency fund? Or maybe you already have that all covered. So comment it down below and let us encourage each other to build up our emergency fund. Don't forget to subscribe to LNB Perfectly Imperfect and share the video with family or friends who might need to hear this message. And remember this, your journey to financial freedom starts one step at a time. Just one. Just take the first step. I believe in you. So let's build a life that is debt-free and stress-free. And it starts with your emergency fund. The quote for today is, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. And that is by Warren Buffett. And the Bible verse, which was already mentioned, is Proverbs 21, verse 20. And it says that the wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down.